and I get to what seems like a palace or like a building of political importance, and then I'm like converted, it seems, to like being part fish species. It then becomes incumbent on me to like wield, like literally wield the reins of some creature. It probably was like a sea creature of some kind. So I probably was very Dune 2 inspired. And so was the romantic interest that was in phase 2. But for like another creature. And I forget the significance of this. But like we were moving in, I think, the direction probably of the human civilization. What I mean to say is I'm Maudib. I'm Lisan Al Gaib. Hello, bipedal? Bipedal? More like bipedal. I got 2 dicks. Woo! Nothing on the side. Sorry. I just got 2 dicks. Oh, man. That's a good meme, dude. It was back when the internet was for men. Until wokeness took over. Man, whatever happened to OG Mako? Like, we guessed it at one point, and then what? I just got 2 dicks.
Damn. Looking on the side. On the road. Oh my god, what the fuck I'ma do with that?
It's the final dance.
Oh my god, what the fuck I'ma do with that?
It's so good, dude. Oh, it's too good. I just found 12 bricks. Sheesh. Nothing on the side. Oh my god, what the I'ma do with that? I had the sickest dream last night, and it is just not describable. There was so much shit going on. I should have wrote it down. It was like a fucking movie. It was like a cinematic universe. It wasn't even just a movie. Fucking sick. It involved a lot of aquatic shit, which was cool. It was some crazy shit going on. And there was like a lot going on too. I've had dreams of floating credits. I've not had that, but that sounds cool as hell. Yeah, I could like try to describe some of it, mostly because I just want to be able to remember it better. Even though I'm usually pretty good at remembering my dreams, even if I don't record them. I've had dreams with a laugh track. I've had a life with a laugh track, brother. Because I'm funny as hell. Everybody be laughing when I'm around. Totally not laughing at me because I look funny. So for a preface, my dreams almost never include me in them. I'm just usually seeing events happen or experiencing events happen through the point of view of somebody that isn't me. That's number one. So it's like I'm watching a movie or playing a video game when I'm dreaming. And it should be said that I have very vivid dreams, and I dream every time I sleep. And like I'll be able to recall a lot of details and like maintain visuals in my head and shit. If I was a better artist, I could be drawing shit in my dreams better, probably, and that'd be cool, but maybe one day. Anyway, for 2, it's rare that I have anything I would consider a nightmare. I have dreams that are spooky and like adrenaline pumping, and where like the character that I am in the dream might be like in harm's way. But it's very rare I'm woken up from a dream being scary, or from a dream like if I'm like about to die in a dream. Like I've had dreams where like the character I'm watching dies, but usually I just respawn like a video game, which is why it feels more like a video game than like actually me. The only time dreams feel like it's just me is when I'm lucid dreaming, and at that point, it's just like a sandbox where I'm fucking flying around and trying to do shit before I lose lucidity because I haven't practiced lucid dreaming in a long time. For this dream, it had a couple phases. I feel like I want to be able to use my tablet for this. All right, so we had a couple phases, okay? There was some shit beforehand that occurred. I just don't remember it because it was inconsequential to the broader story. So that we'll do phase question mark. That's a D. All right, so phase 1. Or phase question mark. Who's to say what occurred here, okay? Impossible to know. I don't know what was going on here, but I remember that something did. I just don't know how connected to the story it was. So now we got phase 2 of the dream. That's a A, not a H. All right, phase 1. So this, it might be back and forth. Like, I might have 2 different phases mixed up. But this one involved... It was like a video game demonstration, but, like, it was real as well. It was weird. So, like, we were underwater, and by we, I mean whatever character I was, and a couple other people. and there's this one person who was like demonstrating some shit. It was like a psychedelic underwater scene where like the colors were very rainbow, and there were leviathans from Subnautica in it, and some leviathans that are like a constant fixture of dreams that I have that occur. Like, I've had dreams like months and months and months ago with a fictionalized leviathan that my mind has created. That it's just inserted into a Subnautica inspired dream game in my head. It was pretty sick. So like, we were there underwater, and it was fucking leviathan swimming around in the distance, and whoever was controlling it was like rapidly changing settings back and forth to like change the whole thing was like covered in rainbow, and like it was moving and whatnot, almost like a filter overlaid. And then the leviathans would be like, so it was a Reaper Leviathan was the main one, where like at one point it would be over here swimming around, at another point it'd be over here, and every time it flipped back and forth, almost like a switch going on and off, it would be in a different position, and at one point it was like coming at me like the Reaper Leviathan does if you've played Subnautica. And like, I remember my character being like, yo, chill the fuck out, this shit's crazy, or something like that. Because like, it was genuinely like scary, like how it is in Subnautica, you know? But I don't think there was any actual threat, and like, it's obviously not scary enough to have woken me up. It was like scary and intense in like a fun way. But I don't think my character interpreted it that way. But anyway, so that was like, I think the first thing I remember about it being like aquatic in theme. So that's phase 1. After that, there's like a time skip or something, or like it's a switch to an entirely different storyline. Here, well, I'll draw a shitty Reaper Leviathan. He has multiple eyes, doesn't he? I don't actually remember. I know he's got little pinchers. Coming from him. Whatever. So now we got phase 2. So it's either, like I say, I don't know what a H looks like. It's either connected, like it's a direct connection to phase 1, or it's an entirely different story, or a time skip. Who's to say? But phase 2 was me and this other person. So it was my character plus some woman who I seem to have like be in a relationship with. So it was like my character plus romantic interest woman. The fake concept. And we were essentially exploring an area that was like a city or a town underwater. So we could breathe underwater, it would seem. But like, it was still more difficult to move through water than, like, because we weren't swimming, we were just walking on the floor. But like, we were walking through like an underwater city. This might be unironically inspired by another Crab's Treasure, the aggro crab Souls-like that I've been playing. It could have easily been inspired by that, for obvious reasons if you played the game. But it was like some city, and it was like a kind of like a rundown area. Like it was like this was a place that if you go there, like, you got to be ready for some crazy shit to pop off, because like, it's not a good place to be. But we're like going through there, like transiting from through it to get to somewhere. And like, we end up going somewhere. I don't know what the hell is going on. I think I remember us having like a house there or something like that. And then we left to go somewhere else, and we like went like miles away, it seemed. And then so then from there, like we get to some point far away, and then all of a sudden I was like, wait, didn't we forget our hamster all the way back in that other place? Now, mind you, the hamster can breathe underwater too, evidently. Um, and we were like, oh shit, we do. I guess we gotta walk back and go get him. You're like, okay, let's do that. So then it was a whole trek back, and like throughout the whole thing, there was like a looming threat, like we could get fucked up, like killed or whatever. Um, and like the trek was arduous. Like there was like things we didn't want to step on, and like there was like one point where we had to like kind of step on ground that was dangerous for like our skin to touch because either it was like too hot or something like that. Um, I remember at one point there were like these steps that I had to go up. They were like metal steps, but on the step there was like spikes and like uncomfortable dots and shit. And like it was kind of like a test. Like there were people around, and there were some people that were doing poorly scaling this. But my character evidently was doing very well. And somebody even remarked like, "Oh, look how like they're like calmly checking, like tapping the foot to see if it's a good foothold and like not too pointy or whatever. That's how you got to be doing it." Like talking to somebody else who was having trouble using whatever my character was doing as an example. So evidently I was doing pretty good to go up, but it still took a long time to get up those steps. It was just like weird shit like that. But eventually we go back, we get back there, we find the hamster. Well, it's like when it's kind of like a cheese grater kind of thing, like the little dots here, and that like it hurts and it like makes your feet uncomfortable to step on them. But it's obviously preferable to step on the not spikes because that shit would just impale your foot. But yeah, so eventually we get back to get the hamster. I don't know what a hamster looks like, but it's something like this. So we collect the hamster. We collect the hamster, and he's like in this paper bag almost for some odd reason. So I guess like I'll just have his head peeking out of a paper bag that we're carrying him in. I don't know why he's in a paper bag, but he is. And like he's poking out of like a hole in it or something. I don't fucking know. So then we have to like carry him all the way back. And that was a whole trek. And like we had to constantly make sure like that he was good and didn't escape the bag. He was fine. At a certain point we found out that there was a hole in it, like a big one, and he could fall out of it. So we had to be very careful about that, and I had to remind the person I was with to be like, yo, careful, there's a goddamn hole in the bag. You gotta hold it different so that the hamster doesn't get lost. Eventually, my brain, like, stops, like, caring about this storyline, but we get to where we're going. So that's phase 2. Then phase 3 comes about, and it's kind of more connected to phase 1. In that it's literally like I'm watching a movie. Like it's in the beginning of a movie. I'm seeing these events where there was a big ass Leviathan, like snake looking guy, like serpent, that was talking. And like he was just eating like humans and whatnot. I can't really like describe what he looked like, but like he kind of had like a mouth like this, where like it was very serpent like. And like I remember his like he had like black lips and his like scales were white or some shit like that. And like he was evil as fuck looking. You know? And he had like fucking pointy ass teeth. and it was spooky. And he was just going around, like, eating motherfuckers and causing a problem. But, like, this was like he was a super powerful sea serpent. Like, you couldn't really do shit about it. It wasn't like something you could really do a lot about. Because, like, he was like the Mac Daddy of the area. And at a certain point, like, my character is like around this. Like, it feels like I'm watching a movie, but it's also like my character is in the movie. You know? So, like, at a certain point, a lot of these details are a little sketchy. But at a certain point, there's, like, a bunch of other Leviathans out there. And my character is going into the area to try to, like, do diplomacy between humans and these sentient fish people. So, like, we'll call phase 3. Whoops, not 2. You right. Shit. What anime is this? I don't think it would be very coherent if it was an anime. So we'll call this one Human Fish. All right, I guess we'll do Sentient Fish. Fish People. Diplomacy. And this was, like, the most involved. This was, like, the most involved. I guess I should save this. Do art. Aquatic dream explanation. April 30th. So like that's what I'm doing. Like, and I'm like traveling, and this is not like in an official capacity. It's just like a thing I'm trying to do because I want to, like, see what's good. So, like, I'm not actually. I don't think when going, I'm, like, too sure about what I'm gonna find. But eventually, I get there, and it turns out, like, the big bad that is always being portrayed for the sentient fish, you know, species, is not all there is. There's actually, like, just dudes hanging out. They just happen to be fish people or whatever. They don't look as humanoid, though. It's not like they're literally fish people. But calling them people kind of, like, becomes relevant later. But yeah, like, a whole bunch of shit goes on. I see, like, a whole different world, which is kind of like the city from phase 2. So I was like, so I find them all, and, like, I'm having experiences or whatever. I don't, like, have a lot of memory of what those exactly were, but I remember there being good and bad fish people. Kinda, I guess, now that I'm thinking about it, One Piece Fishman Island type shit. But not exactly. But that might be where my brain was pulling it from. So then eventually, I get back to where the hell I'm going. Or to where the hell I came from, and there's, like, a whole council set up. And I show up, and I'm like, yo, I got some shit to say. There was another dude. I remember at some point, I was, like, in a store, actually. This was an interesting detail, I guess. I was in a store that was kind of like a hot topic, but it was in, I think, the Fishman area. Or maybe it wasn't. Maybe it was in a human area, but it was still, like, involving water in some way. And there was this one dude that was, like, harassing me. And, like, I guess, like, sexually harassing me. And, like, I was, like, kind of tolerating it for a little bit, but then eventually I was, like, calling his ass out at the council. And we got into, like, a scuffle or something, and I ended up beating his ass or something like that. Anyway, that becomes relevant later because he becomes a part of the story after that. But anyway, in phase 4, that was weird, but I handled it, evidently. I think at a certain point, like, I think the romantic interest was also relevant in phase 3 as well. Just not as focal, like a focal point of the story. So anyway, I probably sound insane describing this dream, but it is what it is. Or multiple dreams, who's to say. So anyway, yeah, it was a hot tropic, so true. And I think like they had a relationship, like they were friends or whatever, and that's why like I tolerated his bullshit for a while, like for the sake of the romantic interest. But then I was like, all right, fuck this shit. That might have like sown discord between me and that person. Maybe I could like workshop that into like an actual story, but I don't think that was relevant in the dream itself. Anyway, eventually I get back to the council, and after beating the shit out of that guy, I roll up and I'm like, yo, I've seen these people. And my character makes it a point to say, and I quote, "They're not human, comma, but they are people." Because it is literally true that, in terms of their species, as it would turn out, they are literally not Homo sapien. And in that way, not human, as we understand. But they are people in that they are sentient, they have a society, and the focal point, I guess, of this quote and what I was trying to deliver in the dream would be like, they're people and we should respect them because of that. Even though, like, this dude is, like, one of the big bad ones that's going around being evil. Like, we need to get some kind of diplomacy in this bitch. And like, try to help the good ones defeat the bad ones. You know? I don't know what exactly came of this whole, like, diplomacy phase. Like, entirely. But from here, we're moving on to phase 4. Oh, and I should say, no, like, when I'm seeing this guy, it's like this. Like, this is the amount of face I'm seeing because he's so fucking huge. Like, in the first, like, scene, I guess, of the movie, where he's, like, going around, like, talking about his evil shit or whatever, killing humans, whatever, and other fish people, probably. Like, he's this close up because he's that big. Whereas, like, I don't know how big I'd be, but I'd probably be, like, this large in the story. So, like, there's a discrepancy in size. But not all fish people are, like, this big either. And it's the same, I should say it's the same for this Leviathan, too. Except it was a bit smaller. So I guess I was, like, this big. Comparatively. Wait, what did it? Oh, because it's on a timestamp. I love dreams that last the whole night, or every dream is related. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. So then we get to phase 4, which is a distinctly different, or like it's not like 100% connected to the other one, but it seems like it is. Like there's a time skip, or who the fuck knows. So we go on to phase 4. I believe this is the final one. So this is phase 4. And at this point, I'm like seemingly on another diplomatic mission. But like I've either of my own volition or through some kind of mechanism, I've been like Wololo Age of Empires converted to a fish person. Like I'm not a full human anymore. I am now part fish. And I'm like being lumped in and like becoming like a greater part of their like political society. Like I'm not like a leader in like in any real sense, but like I was an important fixture. Kind of like almost kind of like Dune 2 and Dune 1 vibes with Timothée Chalamet's character becoming integrated with the motherfucking Fremen. It's the Fremen, right? Yeah. Kind of like that, I guess, but like with fish people instead. To the point where like I kind of become analogous to royalty. I don't know. So like I'm just going along as a normal dude in this underwater area. There's like a huge chasm that I remember existing in phase 2 that I have to cross as well. Um and I'm having to do that again. I get to a certain point, and I get to what seems like a palace or like a building of political importance, and then I'm like converted, it seems, to like being part fish species, and it then becomes incumbent on me to like wield, like literally wield the reins of some creature. It probably was like a sea creature of some kind. So I probably was very Dune 2 inspired. Um, and so was the romantic interest that was in phase 2, but for like another creature, and I forget the significance of this, but like we were moving in, I think, the direction probably of the human civilization. And mind you, I should say the human civilization was like amphibious, I think, in that some of it was above water, some of it was underwater, but like there was always water involved. Because like when I was talking about like these steps, like that was like there was like an ocean to the side. I don't even know how much land there was when this was happening, but this was out of water. Anyway, what I mean to say is I'm Maudib, you know? I'm Lisan Al Gaib. Um, but yeah, so like I guess I would call this one like what does this even be? Transformation? Like human fish species transformation? Transformation of my character plus love interest. So like I'm having to like command like a what seems like an army, but I don't know that there was like military intent. I think it was just like just in case. But like the intent was like diplomacy between the fish species and humans. So like I was there on a diplomatic mission in the third phase on of my own volition. I come back, I deliver the information I've gained. They're not human, but they are people. We should respect them. We should try to like work together, whatever fucking hippie shit. And then in phase 4, like I guess the extension of that diplomacy, I go back on another mission. Now I think at this point, like sanctioned by the council that I was talking to. And I get there and end up becoming like a half fish species, which I was fine with, evidently, because I don't think I felt any type of way about it. It did seem dangerous, but I don't think dangerous in that my life was threatened by the fish people, but rather dangerous in that I didn't know what was going to happen if the diplomatic mission didn't work out. Because now I'm like half fish person, and the danger might like be between the hardline anti-fish humans and the hardline anti-human fish, you know? Because like what the fuck am I now? And like my partner, I guess. And that's kind of what the danger was. And like uncertainty and a variety of other aspects of like the big ass fucking creatures rolling around and whatnot. But I remember like visuals of like it was almost like mermaid type shit, but like you still had a human face, but like person body. If that makes any goddamn sense. So like I guess there was fins involved. I don't fucking know. Almost like a, it's not like a mer person, but more like a centaur kind of vibe, human fish. Because I think I still had like, I still had arms and feet and legs. I can't, I don't even know how I would draw that, to be quite honest with you. I guess it would just be like this, where like I have a, there's like a fin. We're like shrimp moding, I guess. And then I also still have arms. And like I also still have legs. This kind of looks ugly though. It was much more elegant than that. Here, this is a better description, I think. We kind of look like Dragonair, but with arms and legs. And like human, more human faces. If that makes sense. Like that was the vibe. Like we didn't look ugly. Like we weren't looking very human. We were looking like half human. But it wasn't like a grotesque transformation. Like we were hot. But anyway. And we also had like what seemed like halos, which occurred at the same time as the transformation. I don't know that anybody else did. There might have been other like maybe royalty around that had it. But like we had like there were halos present, which was interesting. But anyway, and then we're having to like bring these serpents over and like a whole convoy for this mission. And then like we're traveling back the same path, mind you, that in phase 2 my character, a human with the romantic interest, a woman human, we're like traveling and like having to rescue our hamster and bring him all the way back to the human part of town, I guess, across like many miles and difficult passage. The same area like we're traversing here, except obviously it's a lot easier. And like I'm being tested as well by the fish people of like my ability to like wield the reins of this creature and like be a kind of like a leader, not like a leader of the entire like species, but like a corporal or lieutenant or some shit like that. And there was like a lot of pressure in that as well. And yeah, so that was phase 4. So then we get to phase 5. And essentially this one was a lot more simple because it's at the end of the dream. Where I end up making a meal, which in this case was like a wrap. It was like a wrap, and I ended up watching the last episode of Cyberpunk Edge Runners, and it was really good. And then I ended up putting eyeliner on. And then I hit the start streaming button on OBS. And now here I am. And then I reacted to a Jubilee video. And now I'm talking about whatever this is. In that there was no phase 5. I woke up after phase 4. Now that said, I think there was a wake up IRL between phase 3 and phase 4. There might have even been a wake up between all of the phases. Though if there was one between phase 1 and phase 2, I don't remember it. I think I vaguely remember waking up for a little bit, like not a long time at all, like a minute or two, between phase 2 and phase 3. And I think I remember a longer wake up, because this was around when I was going to be waking up, between phase 3 and phase 4. Woke. So I guess I'll note that as well, just for myself. and that there's like a lapse. I guess the best way to do that would be like here. Wait, better idea? We'll denote a wake up. Like that. And then for this wake up, it'll be much smaller. And with a question mark. Because I don't actually know if there was one, but it feels like there might have been. There we go. But yeah, so that was that. It was really interesting. And I'm sure I missed a lot of fucking details. And I've, like, intentionally omitted some because they just didn't seem relevant. And I wanted to be able to remember as much of the most interesting shit. Like, I think there was, like, a game I was playing at some point. It might have been related to the difficult steps or something. I don't fucking know. Like, there was a point where I had to climb something, which was in, like, the traversal phase of Phase 2 and maybe even Phase 3. Where, like, I had to climb an underwater, like, cliff or some shit like that. And it was difficult with the romantic interest character. But yeah. I use eyeshadow as eyeliner and it literally just rubs off. You want to be using motherfucking primer and setting spray. You first put primer on, then you put whatever makeup on, then you use a setting spray. And usually use like a hand fan to dry your face after you put it on. And that way it keeps your makeup where it is. But it depends on, you know, the context as well. But anyway, that's that. That was really interesting too. It was a pretty cool fucking movie dream. Can't complain. I had another dream where, and this one was like the day before or something like that, where like I was at a house that I am familiar with. I used to actually live in real life. And I was having to like farm for some reason. But the area, so like the house and the plot that the house was on was something that I'm familiar with in real life. It might have been augmented for the dream. But the area that it was in was a bit different and it was also kind of like fucked up in that there were like people around that did not like me. And the fact that I was there, I don't know why, what I did or whatever. But I was like just like kind of a farmer using whatever small amount of land I had to make a garden. This might be influenced by the incremental games I've been playing. Or the fact that I played Stardew for like a couple days, several weeks ago. I don't fucking know. But anyway, eventually, like, I was seeing, like, graffiti outside being like, we don't want you here, and shit like that. And, like, it was tense. But, like, it was, like, a video game. Like, it wasn't, like, I didn't feel like I was actually in danger in, like, any real way, which is usually the case in my dreams. And that is that I don't. It was more like a video game movie kind of thing. And that was interesting. And, like, I had to, like, reset at one point, too. It was interesting. Anyway, my dreams are fucking cool, and I wish I could record them. I always have. I've been having vivid dreams for about as long as I can remember, but it really kicked off in high school. And that's also around when I got interested in lucid dreaming. It was also around when I had my first experience with sleep paralysis, which luckily I knew what sleep paralysis was, so it wasn't as bad as it could have been if I didn't, for a variety of reasons I've talked about. But anyway, yeah. Literally the plot of Dune, but in water? Kind of, yeah, I guess. It's very Dune-inspired, I think. Because I'm a big fan of the two movies, now that I've seen them. But yeah, really interesting. Big fan of dreams. Wish I could record them. Also, better yet, or not better yet, but, like, at best, doing this is cool. If I had, like, more of, like, an artistic skill for illustrations, it would be cool to be able to draw a lot more of my dreams, because I do have, in my mind's eye, right now, a lot of images that I remember from the dream that I simply cannot depict for you, because I just lack the skill set. It also could be that it would be difficult even for a skilled person to depict, because it's a dream, so, like, the details get all mushed together and whatnot, and it won't, like, look very coherent and may only make sense to the person who's witnessed it in their dream, you know? Um, because of dream logic shit. But yeah, maybe one day, who knows? But yeah, it was fun. Cool dream. Or dreams. Oh, the hamster was fine, by the way. He was big chillin'. So that's good. That said, you say like, "Holy shit, we're in that dream." All Connor dreams of chat. It is. I have had several dreams where I'm streaming. It's just usually when I have a dream that I'm streaming, um, it's either not eventful at all, and that it's just like a side thing that like I had streamed at some point in the dream. But often it is the case that I dream that I've fallen asleep while live on stream, and like the stream will just keep running even though I'm sleeping. Um, and then I wake up like, oh shit, like in a panic because like, oh shit, like the stream is still on. How did I fall asleep? Yada yada yada. But nothing ever really transpires from that. It's just like, oh shit, that was fucked. Whoops. And like, I think sometimes I do see like what like the facsimile of a chat room, even though it's probably not legible at all. Um, I've also had dreams where like I've streamed with other creators, which is interesting. I'm not gonna name any because that's kind of weird. Um, but and they're usually like creators I watch, not ones that like I'm actually in, like I'm actually friends with or whatever. Um, but yeah, that's interesting. It's always good dreams. It's always like it's like a streamer that I respect and like a lot, and like in the dream I'm nervous around them, or my character's nervous around them, and is trying to like perform well on the stream to like make good content with them. Um, and there's like an element of nervousness because like starstruck or whatever the fuck. I don't know. All wholesome stuff. That said, like if I have actually done a single stream with with an idol of mine in the streaming space, Will Neff, and we played Tricky Towers once, um, for a few, and that was a lot of fun. And you know, I think it was good content. I think it was chill. It was just like a random happenstance one day after I had raided him and stopped streaming. Um, they just needed another person to play the game, and they were like, "Oh, yo, Con, you're in stream. You want to play?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure." I get on voice. I'm cracking jokes. I'm having fun. It's a chill vibe. So like, I think I was fine. Like, it is on my mind in that moment. I remember of like, oh shit, like I want to leave a good impression because like I really respect this guy and his content, and he's a big inspiration of mine as well. Um, but like I think in most social scenarios like that, I think I do pretty well. It is also often the case that when I'm interfacing with other streamers, I'm like one of the bigger streamers there, which is, you know, interesting because I'm pretty small. But it's like it's usually that is the case, and because I don't know if it's because of that or just because of my personality, but I'm usually like taking the lead in situations like that, even if I haven't organized the thing. That might just be like the kind of person I am when it comes to social situations like that. I don't know. It's usually like my goal to make sure the content goes well and people are included. I'm always on the lookout for somebody who hasn't been like haven't hasn't spoken in a while, and just like trying to prompt them to maybe participate more because like they might not be talking for whatever reason. I like to always try to include people. That was how I was in school too. Is like when there were people that didn't have a lot of friends because I didn't have a lot of friends. I would go over and be like, "Yo, what's good?" Um, which is like kind of uncharacteristic for me as a person, at least, especially back then. But I guess it's because we had the shared um, scenario of not having friends um, in a social setting. Anyway, but yeah, I guess I just tend to take the lead and shit like that. I guess I have a stronger personality than I give myself credit for. Anyway, it was a cool dream. And it's not the only movie type dream I've had, or like really extensive one either. Bro, this song is so good, despite the fact that it's sampling a Kendrick track. Like this. Which one is this? This is Gucci Garette's Lost Issue Volume 1. Dizzy with Amatsu Mikaboshi. Shit's good as fuck. I be goon until the morning, he said. That's so true. Anyway, this will probably go on the second channel. Get out of here. Leave a comment, like, subscribe. Send me $1 billion if you happen to be a millionaire. Much appreciated.